Welcome back to 10 Foot Customs. I thought I would shoot a quick video on understanding, or how I learned to understand the wiring diagrams in the backs of most of these service manuals. It's not an uncommon thing to have someone have part of their, especially on older vehicles, have one of their components not work and not know how to try to figure out why it's not working. I have no formal education as far as working on motorcycles, cars, or trucks or anything. It's everything that I have learned. I've either learned from working with somebody who knew, or from trial and error, and taking things apart and putting them back together. So most of your Haynes or Chilton's manuals will have a wiring diagram in them of some sort. Colored ones are fantastic, but it's rare to find colored wiring diagrams in these books. This is the manual that I'm using for Ruby and Rusty. This covers all the CJ years. So this is a basic wiring diagram. This is pretty much all of an 81 CJ7. You have the front, you have the interior, and then on this page, this is the back end, so tail lights, fuel tank, stuff like that. For the longest time, this was very intimidating to me. Seeing all these lines and stuff like that made no sense to me, and I didn't even want to try because it just gave me a headache looking at it. There was a point where I had to figure it out. I was working on a motorcycle, and it was just a mess, and I had to learn how to understand this. So I kind of taught myself how to do that. So I will show you what works for me. Again, this is not the end-all be-all of wiring diagram figuring out, but this is how it works for me to try to find out, if a component's not working, how to figure out, or hope to help you figure out why. The only things that I use for this would be tracing paper and colored pencils. I'll tape these onto the page, and we'll go from there. I will bring you guys in here close. I know from your view it'll be upside down, but it'll still work. You'll understand what's going on. Okay, so I have my tracing paper taped on just in the top corner here because it helps to be able to lift this up sometimes if you need to see, where a line's going. So let's pick that. Now let's go with, what is that, the front marker? Okay, the park and signal lamp up here is not working, but the side marker is. So everything else works except for this front marker light. So what I will do, let's see. Well, first off here, most wiring diagrams that I've ever seen will give you coloring. Again, if it's a colored wiring diagram, it's easy. It tells you the colors that are on it. This one's obviously just a black and white, but it'll give you colors like here's dark green, black, orange, violet. The nice thing about this wiring diagram is after the color, it gives you a number, and that's the gauge of wire, which I kind of like. So if you had to replace that section, you know what gauge of wire you need. But okay, so let's go back to, we know that, go over here, this parking lamp, this is the plug for it right here, and it is running white and green are the two colors that it runs. So what I'll do is I will trace out the entire circuit, just because, you know, you never know. So this is the plug to the side marker. This is the plug to the front marker light. This is green and this is white, so we go around here and trace this back. Now we have a splice that goes out to there. It's chosen by a dot. I'm going to run this all the way down. Is there a splice there too? Nope. This will take us all the way to our fuse panel. Well, the fire side, the engine side of the fuse panel. Okay, so that, yeah, there is no splices there at all. Okay, now white doesn't show up really well in here, so I'm going to use light peach. It'll work just fine. And that's this one here. There's another splice that goes out to there. Now this wire all the way to there, comes to there, and we have a splice right there which runs out to this one, and runs out to this one, which is the other light on that side. And then this comes to there. Come on. That also then goes to our fuse panel on this side. So I know I have those there. Now, this here is a plug. Then there's numbers that correspond with the plug on this side, so we can pick up all of our colors on this block on this side. So this comes through, goes there, and comes into this, what is that? Oh, that's our light switch. So this is our light switch. That's where that goes. But it also splices off this panel. And it runs all the way to there. And this is the plug that goes through the body to this side, which connects to this one here. Okay, so now we know where that one goes. We'll now bring our green, which is 5A, 5A. Comes out, comes out. Comes all the way to there. And it comes to this. And that is our turn signal switch. So we are going to assume that since some of these lights up here are working, we have power from our fuse panel to the blinker switch. So if we know that, we know where all these wires are now going, roughly. So this would be our switch, and this is our plug going out the back. we can now assume that, okay, from at least this point and from this point, which is the light switch, we're getting power because some of these are still working. So we know this is the only one that's not working. So you can now go through here and go, okay, do we not have power from this point? But obviously if this is working out here, this line should be good. So we can eliminate everything from this point back as being a problem, because we have power to this one and power to that one. So then you can come in here and go, okay, there's a splice here. Splices tend to go bad, especially on vintage vehicles. They'll corrode. You can come in here with a multimeter and test, do you have 12 volts at this splice? Or test, do you have 12 volts at the socket? If you don't have 12 volts at the splice, then, well, there's a problem with something somewhere right in this area then, because this is working. If you have 12 volts at the splice, your light's still not working, you can check, okay, is the bulb good? I've seen many a bulb that looks good that are bad, or is the socket itself, look good? I've also tested sockets that read good at 12 volts, but when you put the light bulb in, they don't, the corrosion built up doesn't allow them to work. But the nice thing about doing it this way is you can then take these papers out to your vehicle, and you will have the colors that you're looking for. And when I'm doing it, I will do an entire circuit. I'll do all the lighting on these papers, and I know where all of my lighting goes. And then if I need to do ignition, I'll do a whole separate sheets of paper for ignition, and I can take those out there. By simplifying by breaking it down into circuit, it really does simplify all these wires, and it makes these wires a lot less complicated to understand. The only other thing I can show you is this one doesn't apply, because I think all the tracers on this diagram are white or black, depending on the color of the wire. But on more modern stuff, you'll have orange with green tracer or yellow with blue tracer. So when I'm doing stuff like that, let's just say this was a red with blue tracer wire. I will come in here and I will run a long red and then a short blue and then a long red and then a short blue. And I'll just keep doing that on my wire as I go around. There's a splice there. But that will then let me know that this is a red wire with a blue tracer that I'm trying to find. And again, taking this outside, you don't have to have the whole book, and this is going to simplify a lot of what you're doing. Again, this is how it works for me. So again, this is not the end-all be-all of how to understand this. This is just how my brain works, and this is how it allowed me to figure out exactly what I was doing to understand wiring diagrams. By breaking them down into circuits, and colored circuits made it way more understandable. So I hope this is helpful to someone, and that it makes looking at these wiring diagrams a little less intimidating. But thank you all for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and hope everybody has a great week. We'll see you next time.